Welcome to User Interface Design session. In this session, we are learning how to create UI for Android application and design editor and XML source view. Further, we are going to learn how to manage UI interactions and make UI interactive with handling touch events. Before starting up, I am creating a new Android project for UI demonstration. In here, I have prompt to add an activity to mobile UI. You can see there are a few predefined UI layouts in there. One is add no activity. In that way, we can create background service without having UIs. But if we need to have any UIs, we need to select one of these templates. These are basic templates and design patterns that we can use for Android UI design. So I am selecting empty activity for the moment, and let's see how to create UI elements in an empty activity. Now project is opened up. Let's explore the project in project window in here. Under the address folder, you can see that layout folder is there. In that layout folder, we can find activity main XML, which is related to the UI of the activity we have created. So I am opening activity main XML. In here you can see several app components. In the top of the screen you can see the status bar. And below to the status bar we have app bar. Usually app bar contains the name of the application. In here it is naming as UI. And in the middle of the UI layout you can see that hello world text is there. The bottom of activity layout contains navigations, home button and recent application icons. In your left hand side, the palette is containing UI elements and we can simply drag and drop required element into UI designing panel in here. In the bottom of left side, you can see component tree. It is showing hierarchical view of UI elements which we have in the UI layout. In this sample, you can see constraint layout is there and text div is added into this layout as a child element. So if we add anything into this UI, it will add it as a child of constraint layout. Let's add a button into here. I can move that button into any place that I need to place it. You can see that there's no string lines in here. But hello world text contains such string lines. These are shown when our UI element have constraints and they are properly defined. But if we don't define those constraints, this element will not show as it is in the mobile UI. So we need to define those constraints. To do that, I am clicking that Infer Constraints button. Once I click that button, you can see that string lines are appeared for button element. Now it has constraints in UI and will show up in the mobile UI correctly. Now let's see the properties of UI element. When I click that button element, you can see that it has a ID. This ID will be required to us if we are accessing this element via our Java class. In here you can see that layout width, layout heights are defined in here. When you set it to wrap content, the size of button is set accordingly to the length of the text inside the button. So in here you can see that it has text view element and it has attribute called text. In this text you can see that button is in there. If we change this text, we can change button label. So I am giving it as say hello. Once I add this text, you can see that UI element is changed according to the text. If you are considering about localizations, you might need to change this into a string resource. In that way, you can add multiple string resources for different localizations. Let's see how to do that. So there's a dotted button near to the text field. So I am clicking that pick a resource button and then adding new resource to here. So I am defining new string value for my text. In here I am giving it as btn lbl say hello. In resource value I am giving say hello text. Once I click OK, this resource is added to string resource XML and updated the button text. So if I open that value folder in the Project Explorer, you can see that strings XML is there. If I open that strings XML, you can see that btn label say hello is there and it has say hello text. So let's go back to main activity again. Once we added a particular element, the corresponding XML tags are created in the activity main XML. If you click that text view in the designer, you can see the XML code. In here you can properly identified constraint layout is there and also the text view is there which is containing the hello world and button is there which is containing the say hello. So these are the attributes that define for particular UI elements. So in that way we can add elements in here also. Now let's see how to bind action with a Java class. Since I am adding a button into here, I can add click event into the main activity. So in my main activity I have method called onCreate. Inside this onCreate method we have setContentView method. This method is usually used to set UI layout for an activity. Since this has contains r.layout.activityMain, it defines that this main activity is using activityMain layout. So this R class is defined for resources and it is generated dynamically based on the contents in resource folder. Since this activity main is inside the layout folder, you can see that it has r.layout.activityMain. To add action for button, we need to define button object first. So I am adding button object in here. In Android activities, we have special methods to find elements in UIs. So I am using find view by ID method in here, and by using this method I can define particular element in UI XML by their IDs. Now let's see what is the ID of my button. If I go to activity main XML and go to design view and once click the say hello button, you can see that button ID is showing as button. If I go to the properties window, it also contains that button ID and it is showing as button. So I am changing it as btn hello. Once I change this text, it will update the component tree also. So I am going back to main activity and then I am referring my button in here. So it is inside the resources and it refers by ID. So I am giving r.id.btn hello. In that way I can define object for button by referring element in the UI. Once I created object, I need to add onClick method for this button. For the btn hello object, I have set onClick listener method. Once I click that, you can see that set onClick listener method is created and we need to define listener in here. So I am defining listener as new onClick listener. Once I hit enter, it will complete the code automatically and I can define actions inside the onClick method. So I am showing a toast message in the UI once this button is clicked. So I am adding toast make text get application context, and for the text I am giving hi there, and for the duration I am giving toast.length long. Once we created the make text, we need to show the toast message. By using this toast message, we can see it in the UI. So let's run this application on emulator. Now our application is showing in the emulator. You can see our text is there and our button is also showing in here. So once I click say hello button, you can see that Toast appears saying hi there. So thank you very much for watching this video, and this video has been prepared with the support of Commonwealth of Learning.